in order to kill the tsetse fly. So you spray the bush around to kill tsetse fly. Then you can use chemicals like trypanosomide and antimosan. Those are chemicals that you can use to control tsetse fly. Then you use other methods to eradicate infected flies. Make sure once tsetse fly is not around, you are not likely to have trypanosomiasis. So get rid of tsetse fly, then you get rid of trypanosomiasis on your farm. The next disease is coccidiosis. Coccidiosis is caused by a protozoa called LIBERIA species. It is transmitted by contaminated feed and water. The symptoms of coccidiosis, first is that you observe a blood-stained diarrhea. When the animal is stooling, you discover that there is blood stains in the fecal material. The animal is weak, there is emaciation, there is anemia, dullness and untreatedness is observed in the animal too, loss of hair in rabbits, or what we call alopecia, loss of appetite or anorexia. That's another name for loss of appetite, anorexia. Then the feather is rough. The feather of the poultry is rough. Oddly, that is, the animals are just crowding together. Dropping of wings, that's in poultry. The wings are just falling off. Then you can observe death or high mortality in your animals. Control. You change litter after some time. Don't just leave the litter of the animal there. That's a good sanitary measure. Then vaccination must be regular to prevent disease. Then chemoprophylaxis, that's the use of drugs like amprolium, nitrofurazone, sulfaquinolazine in water. So you put these chemicals in the water, or these drugs in the water of your animal. That is chemoprophylaxis, so as to prevent this coccidiosis and other form of disease that may want to come up in your animal house. The litter of the animals must always be dry. Keep their litters dry, because once it is wet, it is prone to being infected. Then you can raise the feeding and the watering trough, so it's not on the ground that can easily mess up their litter. Then practice immunity by introducing young fowls to coccidia. It's like you are bringing the animal to face coccidia at a young stage, so it will be able to conquer it at that initial stage. So by the time the disease itself wants now to come and infect your animal, it's already got immunity. So that's what that point means. You practice immunity by introducing the young fowls to coccidia. Then add coccidial stars to their drinking water, so that will also boost their immunity. So when you introduce the young fowl to coccidia, so it will help them to fight coccidiosis later in the future. Then when you add coccidial stars into their drinking water, that's also building their immune system against coccidiosis. The next protozoal disease is pyroplasmosis or babesiosis. It is also called red water fever, and the causal organism is the Babesia species. How is it transmitted? It is transmitted by a bite from infected tick, especially the blue tick, also called Bophilos decoloratus. That a bite from that blue tick will infect your animal with red water fever. The symptoms, first is fever, the next is red urine. That's why it's called red water fever. Red urine, you observe that the color of the urine is reddish. Then there is a progressive weakness. The animal keeps becoming weaker and weaker by the day. The body temperature increases. The animal loses its appetite. There is diarrhea, stooling, vomiting. There is emaciation. There is death. It might lead to death. It might lead to loss of blood. Eye skin irritation is another symptom. Then rough coats and poor eye and skin. The eye or the skin of the animal is very rough. It's not looking nice at all. That's a symptom of red water fever. How do you control that? You control tick. Since tick is a major transmitter of this disease, control tick. Don't allow tick in your animal house. The next is that you use disinfectants such as acaricide or insecticide So you spray them on breeding places of ticks so that they don't affect your animal. Just disinfect them so the tick is not found in your animal house. Then you regularly dip your animals in acaricide water. That's disinfection too. Then you can use cattle egrets to biologically control tick. You know, when you introduce cattle egret into your herd or animal house, into your cattle farm, what cattle egret does is that they'll take out the tick from there, so you can control tick like that too. Then you use resistant variety like ndama. So you raise resistant variety. You don't just rear any kind of cattle. Rear resistant variety, and the kind that can resist a variety of disease. That is, ndama is an example. Then use good sanitation measures. Make sure there is good hygiene around the animals. You can burn the grasses too. Burn the grasses around. Then you can starve the tick by practicing rotational grazing or paddocking. The ticks, since they are the major causative organism or causal agents of this disease, you starve them by practicing rotational grazing. You don't graze the same place at the same time, so you just move around. So you distract the tick by that method. Now to fungal diseases. The first fungal disease here is aspergillosis, and it's caused by an organism called Aspergillus fumigatus. Mode of transmission is by airborne spores inhaled through the nostrils. So this is a serious kind of disease because the animal will have to breathe, and if the spores is already in the air, then the animal breathing it in is a serious case because it will be infected with Aspergillus. Moldy litter. I earlier said don't allow the litter of the animals to be wet. Don't allow water. So once the litter is wet, it becomes moldy, then they can get infected from moldy litter, moldy water. Overcrowding will also spread this Aspergillus. Contaminated incubator is another way. So you sterilize all your equipment that you use for your animals, so you don't transmit disease from one animal to the other in your farm. What are the symptoms of aspergillosis? First is high temperature. The animal's temperature rises. Then the animal loses weight. There is emaciation. There is difficulty in breathing. Since it's an airborne spread kind of disease, so the animal cannot breathe very well. The animal loses appetite, or what is called anorexia. Then there is general untriefness of the animal. The animal gasps for breath. There is gasping. Like he just wants to breathe because it's something that has to affect his respiratory system. Then there is whistling noise that the animal makes. The skin becomes irritated. How do you control aspergillosis? First, you disinfect your pen regularly. Disinfection of pen regularly. Then you remove sources of contamination. Everything you know that can contaminate or that has been contaminated and can contaminate your animal or infect them, make sure you remove them. Clean up the archery. Clean up your archery. Then don't use moldy feed or litter for your animal. Maintain good sanitation. Then you spray with fungicide. Then you can kill infected animal. That's the culling. Once you discover that an animal is infected, just separate it and kill it so that it doesn't cause you other animals. The next fungal disease is ringworm, caused by fungus. It is transmitted by an infected animal. Woodwork, like wood shavings, bushes around, dirty feeding and watering troughs can also spread ringworm to your animals. The symptoms of ringworm: skin lesions, that is wound on the skin, skin irritation, emaciation, loss of appetite or anorexia. Then rough eye and skin quality. You discover that the animal skin is not appealing to you. It's just so rough. It's not looking good. Then restlessness during irritation. So the animal is restless. Then there is a presence of a ring-shaped patches on the skin of the animal. That's where it got its name from, ringworm. So there is presence of a ring-shaped patches on the skin of the animal. How do you control ringworm? Dress the animal with a mixture of sulfur, Vaseline, and iodine. So when you dress the animal with this mixture, then you can curb ringworm. Another thing is chemoprophylaxis by using intravenous iodine injection and genital violence ointments. So that will also control ringworm for you. You disinfect your pens, their feeding, watching, troughs, and other equipment. You disinfect everything. Then another thing is that you scrape off all scaly areas before treatment. Those places where you have the ring-shaped patches, just scrape it away. Then you can now dress that place with a mixture of sulfur, Vaseline, and iodine. Sometimes you can dip the animal into certain fungicide. That may be recommended. That's that about diseases for animals. Now we talk about parasitic organisms. A parasite is an organism that lives and derives its food from another organism called the host. So the parasite lives on another organism called host. It derives its